Hi, everyone. Hi. So a few weeks ago, we had an election. And one of my close friends ran for Congress, and he lost. And I asked him, how do you know when you're running for Congress what the people you meet with are going to be in favor of and what they're going to be against? He said, oh, I have an app for that. And I said, what do you mean you have an app for that? He said, oh, I have this app, and I can look on this app and find any voter in the United States on this app. And I've only paid for the license in California. But I can look anyone up, and I can find out what their positions are on every single topic. And I said, what? You got to be kidding me. And he hands it to me, and I said, well, let me look myself up. So I looked myself up, and I was shocked to find 56 pages just on me. 56 pages on every single possible detail you could think of politically. What my position was on abortion, how did I feel about China, what did I feel about the COVID lockdowns, who I voted for, my party affiliations, my house, every detail on me, and many, many more I could never even conceive of. 56 pages. I'm not unique. That data is available on every single person, so the politicians, when they meet with us, they know exactly what to tell us to make us feel good about voting for them. How many of you knew this? And I said, where do you get that? I met the CEO, and I said, where do you get this data from? He was a mathematician. He said, oh, from messaging apps. From your messaging apps. From your social media. Anything that we're not paying for in social media or a messaging app, that means you are the product. And do you know how expensive this data is? If Facebook were to send us each a check today to pay us for the profits they make just off of our data individually, it would be about $2,400 this year. Did you know that you pay $200 a year for being on Facebook? $200 a month, excuse me. $200 a month. A month. So when I started realizing this, I started thinking, gosh, there needs to be a better way. So we created a company a few years ago, and if I could pull up the slide deck, there we go. And the first thing that we did when we created this company was to establish a data bill of rights. In our Genesis blockchain, we decided to declare that data is the intangible personal property of the original producer. And therefore, it's protected by the U.S. Constitution, by the Charter of Human Rights. We're literally all of us working on a data plantation. We don't even know it. And the value of this data is going up, doubling every year for the past 5 years. When COVID hit, the data was what was driving all of the revenue increases for all of these large corporate entities that are the oligopolies that literally control our data. And by the way, controlling your data today is controlling your identity tomorrow. On Telegram today, there's already about 10 guys that have copied my name, copied my exact logo and everything, and I can't do anything about it. In fact, every time I post something, there's a bot that posts something that says, go to this site, we can have a more detailed discussion about this topic. I'm going to delete it soon. It's all fake. We are now living in a world where our data is an extension of who we are. And if we don't start to wake up to protect that data, we're going to lose sense of who we are as individuals. So it needs to be protected. So what's the mechanism for protecting it? First of all, President Biden and the White House just declared that all the blockchains and all of the United States government encryption technology is now all obsolete. You know that? Because of quantum computing, the US government has now announced that elliptic curve, RSA encryptions, all prime number, factor-based, public key cryptography is now entirely obsolete. So everyone in the US government has to switch over, but who is actually leading the charge of this switchover in blockchain? Because with blockchain, it's really challenging. How do you go back to the Genesis block from the very beginning? We need to implement now post-quantum technology, because quantum computers can cut through encryptions like butter. And by the way, US government's already been able to do this for a very long time. They have a trapdoor function inside the elliptic curve. I know this because I've spoken with the top cryptographers who know about this. And they're at universities and they know that the elliptic curves that are there are not sufficient at all. How many of you think that the chats that you're on Telegram are actually encrypted? Guess what? Any chat that you have not specifically designated as a secret chat before you open the chat and is only one-on-one, so any group chat is not at all encrypted. Not at all. No encryption whatsoever. It's completely open. How did WhatsApp get 10 billion in sales last year? There's no advertising on the platform. There's no subscription fee on the platform. 10 billion in sales? It's through selling your data. So we need to start protecting our data because data is the world's most valuable asset. For so long, money needed banks to protect it. We needed fences and walls to protect our assets and our property, and today we need post-quantum encryption to protect our data, our most valuable asset. There's nothing more valuable than who you are. I have a friend right now that works in deepfake, and he's told me that he's actually gone to the families of James Dean and Grace Kelly because now they can actually have those characters, those actors, show up in new movies. The next Indiana Jones movie with Harrison Ford is actually going to be starring a deepfake version of a young form of Harrison Ford. We're going to start seeing lots and lots of movies where dead actors are actually going to come back to life. And there's going to be a huge battle over the fate of what happens with the family estates associated with that. It's already started. I can get a deep fake of myself. In fact, they offered me to get a deep fake. They said, oh, we'd like to put it on your website. That way you could have like a Q&A version of you for all of your followers, and even your grandkids after you're long dead will be able to know how you would answer something. It sounds kind of cool, but also super creepy. We're now going into this world, and we have to be mindful about protecting this data because it's the world's most valuable asset. The key to a sovereign future is quantum-resistant encryption to protect freedom of speech and freedom of assembly. What we have created is a new app. It's up and running. It's available now in beta, and it's a limited beta, but it's about to go in extended beta. And it's called Orion. It's the world's first quantum-resistant backed encryption for messaging that is entirely decentralized. This means it cannot be censored. Why is that? Well, because if a company has control of the server where your messaging is located, if the government shows up to them and says, hey, we don't have a warrant, but we think we have probable cause on this person, therefore we need you to give over the keys to their data, either the company is going to succumb to it or they're going to face a lot of hurt and difficulty. So now what happens? If it's on a decentralized network, nobody has control of it, except you, the owner of your data, because even the keys are sharded across all the network of nodes. And because of that, no one node and no company, no centralized architecture can actually go and give it up to anyone else. So the only way that the government or anyone else can come to you is to follow due process under constitutional law. Get a warrant by convincing a judge that there's true probable cause, and then you can decide whether or not you want to succumb to that warrant. This is what the Constitution is for. Government exists to protect people's individual rights and freedoms. We are here so that we can pursue life, liberty, and happiness, and that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. But it requires our consent. And that's what's become broken in society today. We need to level the playing field and bring back the individual rights and freedoms. Our app platform includes decentralized storage. It also includes a compression technology that's novel and mathematical. It's all backed by one-time pad encryption, which is the exact same encryption used to protect the nuclear codes. The nuclear football is a one-time pad. All military-grade encryption, true military-grade encryption, is only one-time pad encryption. Look it up. We were the first to put it on blockchain because we want people to have their own sovereignty. We want sovereign communities. We want a social media platform where I'm not going to just get kicked off of Instagram. I might leave Instagram and take my total of 3.5 million followers on my different pages and bring them over into a platform like this. Why? Because I then have control over at least the communication with my crowd. We built a platform for influencers and for people to join in. We hope you join in with us as well and take back our sovereignty. Thanks very much.